Good morning. My name is Pastor Jeff Gross, and I'm here with you in lovely Bradenton, Florida at Living Lord Lutheran Church, and I hope you're all having a great day. I was just reflecting upon a couple years ago when I had a pain in my shoulder and it needed to be fixed by surgery, rotator cuff surgery. And I was reflecting upon this because that pain doesn't exist anymore and I have full mobility, and I realized that the reason why I do is because of an unsung hero, and that is the occupational therapist who put me through the task of getting better. And I think the unsung heroes are those therapists, the physical therapists, the occupational therapists, the speech therapists, the people who help people help themselves get better, are people who get very little credit and deserve a lot more credit than they get. And I was reflecting upon those days when I would go to therapy and the times where I didn't necessarily feel like pushing myself, or I didn't necessarily feel like enduring a whole lot of pain, and they had a whole bunch of excuses as to why I couldn't do certain things. And I realized that the reason why my therapist was so successful is because he refused to listen to my excuses. And he pushed me and pushed me and pushed me. At the time it wasn't a lot of fun, but it was that kind of tough love therapy that got me from point A to point B. And over the course of the years of being a pastor, I've talked to dozens of people who have gone through the exact same experience that I have. And I thought about that tough love, and I thought about the gift of holding people accountable and refusing to listen to excuses. And I think that we as Christians over the course of the years have somehow or another let each other off of the hook. We listen to people's reasons for doing certain things and we excuse them. And I think of one case in particular, where a case that actually inspired my last Sunday's sermon, where a woman had a tendency of saying hurtful and harmful things to her friends, not realizing she was saying hurtful and harmful things to her friends because none of her friends told her she was doing this, until one person finally had the courage to confront her and say, you know, you actually have been saying things that are very hurtful to me and to other people. And you know what that woman said to her friend? She said, thank you. Nobody told me that. And all of those years of being able to rectify her behavior were really taken away from her because everybody was listening to her excuses. But it was that tough love confrontation, the ability to hold somebody accountable and say, I can't really abide by what you're doing, that made all the difference in that person's life. And that goes with sin. And that goes with relationships that we have with each other. God holds us accountable. God does not listen to our excuses, and yet somehow or another we do. And we as a society have failed to move forward simply because we've been too nice. But I'll tell you what, if it weren't for my therapist, I wouldn't have full mobility of my arms. And I am sure that if we are willing to do the most loving thing that we Christians can do for one another, and that is confront sin when we see it, I am sure that we will be able to make our society just as mobile as my left shoulder.